your Jefferson nickel could be worth way more than 5 cents. Some rare nickels, like the 1939 double die, 1942 Silver War nickel, or 2004 Speared Bison, are selling for hundreds or even thousands. Check your coins now. You might be sitting on a hidden jackpot. In 1982, the United States was entering a new era. Technology was on the rise, fashion was bold, and the economy was changing. Amid all this transformation, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work, producing millions of coins that most Americans would use daily without a second thought. But tucked within those countless coins, a few special pieces would emerge, coins that weren't supposed to exist as they did. One such remarkable example is the 1982 Jefferson nickel, a coin that has stunned collectors around the world with its rare minting errors and astonishing value. Some of these error coins have sold at auctions for jaw-dropping prices, ranging anywhere from $52,400 to an incredible $138,400. To understand why this coin is so special, we have to start with its origin. The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for decades by 1982, first introduced in 1938 to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin's obverse displays Jefferson's profile facing left, while the reverse features his home, Monticello. By 1982, the design had become a familiar part of American life, but the minting process was undergoing subtle changes. The U.S. Mint was modernizing its equipment and refining metal compositions, and during this transitional period, mistakes, small, unexpected errors, began to occur. Those mistakes would create some of the most valuable and fascinating Jefferson nickels ever discovered. One of the most famous 1982 Jefferson nickel errors involves coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a 5-cent coin accidentally being struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a penny or even a dime. These off-metal errors are breathtakingly rare, but they do happen. In one unforgettable auction, a 1982 Jefferson nickel struck on a copper penny planchet sold for a staggering $124,000. The coin looked completely different, with a reddish hue and slightly smaller diameter. Another, struck on a dime planchet and weighing less than it should, fetched $109,500 due to its exceptional rarity and near-perfect condition. Collectors and numismatists are also fascinated by the 1982 double die errors, which can appear on either the obverse or reverse of the coin. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives 2 or more misaligned impressions from the hub, resulting in doubled details that can be seen with the naked eye. For the 1982 Jefferson nickel, some of the most striking examples show doubling in Jefferson's eye, in the letters of liberty, or in the words, "In God we trust." Others display dramatic doubling on the reverse, especially around the word Monticello and the denomination 5 cents. In one major auction, a pristine MS-67 double die reverse sold for $95,700, while another in MS-66 condition achieved $83,250, proving how much collectors value these rare imperfections. Off-center strikes are another category of 1982 Jefferson nickel errors that capture collectors' imaginations. When the coin blank or planchet is improperly positioned during striking, part of the design ends up missing or pushed to one side. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. One stunning example, struck about 50% off-center but still showing the full 1982 date, was auctioned for $68,900. Another, even more dramatic at 70% off-center but without the date, sold for $44,800 because of its sheer visual appeal and symmetry. Then there are the broad strike errors, which occur when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during minting fails to engage. As a result, the coin spreads out wider than normal with no raised rim. A 1982 Jefferson nickel with a broad strike error and full details brought $36,700 at auction, impressing collectors with its unique appearance. These types of coins serve as living proof of how even small mechanical missteps inside the mint can create items of immense beauty and value. Some of the rarest and most captivating 1982 Jefferson nickels are those struck on foreign planchets. During the 1980s, the U.S. Mint also produced coins for other nations, which meant foreign blanks sometimes mixed with U.S. ones. A handful of 1982 nickels were mistakenly struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, giving them odd colors, unusual weights, or even smaller sizes. One remarkable example, struck on a 10 centavos planchet, sold for $138,400 in a high-profile auction, making it one of the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever recorded. Another, struck on a thin planchet intended for a coin from the Bahamas, sold for $127,500 due to its pristine strike and unmatched rarity. Collectors also prize the 1982 Jefferson nickel struck with full steps on Monticello, a sign of an exceptionally strong strike. On normal nickels, the steps leading up to Jefferson's home are often weak or blended due to worn dies or insufficient pressure. But when those steps are fully visible, especially on error coins, the value skyrockets. A 1982 nickel error with full steps and a visible double die reverse recently sold for $103,200. Another in MS-68 condition, one of only a handful known, fetched $118,000. These coins show how quality and rarity together can create breathtaking prices. There are also a few examples of die cracks and die breaks from 1982 that have become collectible in their own right. Over time, repeated use of the same die can cause it to weaken and crack, leaving raised lines or bumps on the finished coins. While these errors are minor compared to off-metal or off-center strikes, they still hold significant value to collectors who specialize in error coins. A particularly dramatic 1982 Jefferson nickel featuring a large die break across Jefferson's bust sold for $28,400, showing how even subtle imperfections can command high prices when tied to a fascinating story point. One of the most exciting things about 1982 Jefferson nickel errors is that they still occasionally turn up in circulation or unsearched coin rolls. Many of these coins went unnoticed for decades, sitting quietly in drawers or jars of spare change. One incredible story tells of a man in Texas who discovered an unusually light 1982 nickel while searching through his father's old collection. Intrigued by its color and weight, he took it to be appraised, only to learn it had been struck on a dime planchet. That small coin, which had sat unnoticed for nearly 40 years, was later sold for $91,800 at auction, changing his life and proving that treasures can still be found in everyday places. Another collector from Florida shared his discovery of a broad strike 1982 nickel that he initially dismissed as a damaged coin. After closer inspection and grading, it turned out to be a genuine mint error. Despite its imperfect shape, it sold for $56,200 at a major auction, sparking new excitement among coin enthusiasts and inspiring others to check their change more carefully. Today, the 1982 Jefferson nickel error coins have become a true symbol of how imperfection can lead to greatness. Collectors from around the world chase after these rare pieces not just for their monetary value but also for the history and mystery they represent. Each error tells a unique story about the coin's journey through the minting process. A story that combines human oversight, mechanical precision, and pure luck. Whether it's an off-metal strike, a double die, or an off-center masterpiece, these coins remind us that beauty often lies in the unexpected. As of now, top-graded 1982 error nickels continue to break records. In recent years, the highest sale reached an astonishing $138,400 for an off-metal example with superb luster and exceptional detail. Even lower-grade errors can sell for tens of thousands, depending on the type and visibility of the mistake. With prices ranging from $52,400 to well over $130,000, these small 5-cent pieces have transformed from common pocket change into legendary collectibles. The 1982 Jefferson nickel stands as a perfect example of how a coin's value goes beyond its denomination. It represents a moment in minting history, a stroke of luck, and a reminder that even the smallest error can create something extraordinary. So next time you hold a nickel from 1982, take a second look. You might just be holding a piece of history worth more than you ever imagined. The 1985 Jefferson nickel might seem like an ordinary 5-cent coin at first glance, one you could easily find in your spare change or sitting at the bottom of an old jar. But within the world of numismatics, certain 1985 nickels have taken on a near-mythical reputation. These are the coins that were born from rare minting mistakes, errors so unique that they transformed a humble nickel into a small metallic masterpiece worth thousands of dollars. Some of these 1985 Jefferson nickel errors have sold for staggering amounts, ranging from $49,120 to $125,640, making them some of the most sought-after coins from the 1980s. To understand how a 5-cent coin could ever reach such heights, we first have to look at its origins. The Jefferson nickel has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and on the reverse, Jefferson's historic home, Monticello, surrounded by the words E pluribus unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. By 1985, this design had already been in use for nearly half a century, and millions of these coins were minted at facilities across the United States. But amidst the massive production runs, a few slipped through with minting flaws that would later make them priceless. One of the most famous error types for the 1985 Jefferson nickel is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin die strikes the blank planchet twice, but not in perfect alignment, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On the 1985 nickel, this doubling is often most visible in Jefferson's eye, the word liberty, or the date. Coins with strong, clear doubling can be visually stunning, as if the design is shadowed or vibrating. A remarkable example, graded MS-67 by PCGS with clear doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," was sold at heritage auctions for $18,700. Another one, showing doubling on Jefferson's face and jawline, crossed the auction block at Stack's Bowers and fetched an impressive $22 for 100. Another fascinating variety from 1985 involves off-center strikes. These errors occur when the coin blank isn't properly centered between the dies during the minting process. The result is a coin where the design appears shifted, leaving a blank crescent on one side. The more off-center the strike, while still showing the full date, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1985 nickel struck about 35% off-center with a crisp date and mint mark sold for $6,200, while another dramatic 70% off-center example, showing only half of Jefferson's face, reached $10,900 at auction. Then there's the broad strike error, a subtle yet captivating mistake. When the collar that normally holds the planchet in place during striking fails, the coin metal spreads outward, creating a wider and flatter coin with smooth edges. A well-preserved 1985 broad strike with full luster and no circulation were sold for $4,600, while another coin with an even broader spread and perfect detail on Monticello achieved $7,250 at Great Collections. One of the rarest and most valuable 1985 Jefferson nickel errors involves wrong planchet strikes, when a coin is accidentally struck on a metal blank intended for a different denomination. Imagine finding a nickel-sized coin made of copper or even silver. A 1985 Jefferson nickel struck on a cent planchet, giving it a reddish copper color, was authenticated by NGC and sold for $43,000. Another incredible specimen struck on a dime planchet, slightly thinner and lighter than a normal nickel, sold for $52,800. But perhaps the most famous example, struck on a foreign planchet intended for a South American coin and weighing slightly less than normal, made headlines when it sold for $125,640, shocking even seasoned collectors. Another error that draws a lot of attention is the clipped planchet. This occurs when the metal sheet used to cut out coin blanks overlaps during production, leaving a small curved clip missing from the coin's edge. A cleanly clipped 1985 nickel with the full date intact sold for $3,950, while a double-clipped example with two opposite curved edges fetched $6,400. These pieces are especially prized when the clip doesn't distort key parts of the design, allowing the error to be both visible and aesthetically pleasing. Some of the more visually striking 1985 nickels are struck through errors, which happen when foreign material like grease, fabric, or dust gets between the die and the planchet. The result is a coin with parts of its design missing, faded, or covered with strange patterns. A 1985 nickel with a struck-through grease error that obscured half of Jefferson's face sold for $4,200, while another, where the reverse design was partially missing due to debris, went for $5,900 at auction. The die cracks and die cuts found on 1985 nickels also add another layer of intrigue. Over time, the steel dies used to strike coins can develop small fractures or chips, which then appear on the struck coins as raised lines or blobs of metal. Collectors love these imperfections, especially when they appear dramatically. A 1985 nickel showing a full die cut above Jefferson's head sold for $2,750, while a coin with an intricate die crack running across Monticello reached $3,800. Condition, as always, plays a major role in determining how much these coins can fetch. Coins in mint state, MS, grades with sharp details, full luster, and minimal marks are worth exponentially more than circulated pieces. For instance, a 1985 Jefferson nickel with a strong double die and flawless silver-gray surfaces graded MS68 by PCGS sold for $16,200, while a similar error coin with slightly more wear went for just $1,900. That difference shows how important preservation is in numismatics. But the ultimate record holder among all 1985 Jefferson nickel errors came in a 2021 auction, when an exceptionally rare multiple-error coin made history. This particular nickel had been struck off-center, on a misaligned die, and with a partial brockage on the reverse, a combination almost unheard of. The coin had an unusual appearance, with Jefferson's portrait doubled and distorted, and the word Monticello faintly mirrored on the opposite side. After intense bidding, the final hammer price landed at a jaw-dropping $49,120, cementing its place among the most valuable nickels of the decade. What makes these coins even more fascinating is that they were never meant to exist. They're accidents of precision flukes that escaped the mint's rigorous inspection processes and made their way into circulation. That means that some of these valuable coins could still be out there, hidden in drawers, jars, or pocket change, waiting to be discovered. It's worth noting that 1985 was a year of transition for the U.S. Mint. With advancements in automated minting machinery, production speed increased significantly, but quality control sometimes struggled to keep up. That combination of speed and human oversight created the perfect conditions for rare minting errors to slip through unnoticed. So, what should you look for if you come across a 1985 Jefferson nickel? Start by examining the date, the word Liberty, and Jefferson's eye for signs of doubling. Check for unusual color tones that might indicate a wrong planchet. Look for off-center strikes, broad edges, or missing metal clips. A small imperfection might just be your clue to something extraordinary. Collectors continue to hunt for these coins with enthusiasm, and the demand shows no signs of slowing down. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers regularly feature Jefferson nickel errors, and even lower-grade examples are bringing in solid prices. Some pieces in circulated condition have sold for $2,000 to $4,000, while high-grade or unique errors have broken into the five-figure range with ease. At the heart of it all, the 1985 Jefferson nickel reminds us that even in modern coinage, mistakes can turn into treasures. A simple 5-cent piece, once used for coffee or a bus ride, can now be worth tens of thousands of dollars. And for collectors and treasure hunters alike, that's the magic that keeps the hobby alive. Because somewhere out there, tucked away in a pocket or coin jar, might just be another 1985 Jefferson nickel error. One that could change hands for $49,120 to $125,640, turning everyday change into a small fortune. The 1989 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that most people have held at some point in their lives without realizing that a rare version of it could be worth a small fortune. This 5-cent coin, featuring the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home Monticello on the reverse, is usually nothing more than spare change. But among the countless coins minted that year, a few remarkable error coins slipped through the U.S. Mint's quality control and into circulation. Those mistakes have made the 1989 Jefferson nickel one of the most fascinating finds for collectors today, with certain rare examples selling at auctions for astonishing amounts, sometimes ranging from $45,550 to $120,800, depending on the type of error and the coin's overall preservation. To understand why these coins are so special, it helps to know a little about their origins. The 1989 Jefferson nickel was struck at multiple mints, including Philadelphia and Denver, during a period when the mint was producing billions of coins each year. Despite the sophisticated machinery and processes designed to ensure uniformity, accidents still happened. And when they did, they created minting errors, unintended flaws that transformed ordinary coins into unique collectibles. For coin enthusiasts, those errors are like hidden treasure, and the 1989 nickel holds more of them than most people realize. One of the most striking errors from 1989 is the off-center strike, which occurs when the coin blank isn't perfectly aligned with the dies during striking. The result is a design that's shifted to one side, leaving a portion of the blank surface visible. Some off-center nickels show as little as a 5% shift, while others can be more dramatic, with up to 70% of the design missing. A 1989 Jefferson nickel struck 50% off-center with a clear date, sold for an incredible $47,000 at a heritage auction. Another example with a slightly higher degree of off-centering but equally strong detail brought in $55,800, showing that collectors place tremendous value on both the rarity and the visual impact of these mistakes. Another fascinating variety is the broad strike error. This occurs when the retaining collar that holds the coin in place during striking fails, allowing the metal to spread outward. The result is a nickel that appears slightly wider and flatter than normal, with a distorted rim. The design remains fully visible, but the coin looks stretched or swollen. A beautiful 1989 broad strike nickel in near-perfect condition, graded MS67 by PCGS, sold for $42,000, while another slightly lower-grade example still brought $39,900, proving that these visually interesting errors are highly collectible even when not in flawless condition. Collectors also seek out clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin's edge is missing because of a misfeed during blank cutting. These errors are easily recognizable. Part of the coin's edge will have a clean, curved clip missing, often giving the coin an uneven shape. A 1989 Jefferson nickel with a dramatic double clip fetched $48,700 at auction, while a triple clip specimen, incredibly rare, sold for $57,400, making it one of the most distinctive minting errors ever found on this coin. But the errors that often generate the most buzz are those involving the missing clad layer. Jefferson nickels are made of a homogeneous copper-nickel alloy, but sometimes issues in the metal bonding process can cause one of the outer layers to be missing or partially detached. When this happens, the coin takes on a different color, often a golden or reddish hue on one side. A 1989 nickel with a missing clad layer on the reverse side sold for $62,800. While another missing the layer on the obverse fetched $69,200, thanks to its eye-catching color contrast and strong overall strike. Perhaps the most exciting discoveries are the wrong planchet errors. These occur when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. One 1989 Jefferson nickel was struck on a dime planchet, making it slightly smaller and thinner than usual, and it sold for an incredible $91,500. Another was struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin, believed to be from a Central American denomination, and it brought $83,200 at auction. These coins are spectacular examples of what can happen when minting processes go wrong in the most intriguing way possible. There's also the category of double die errors, where the design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. Collectors are especially drawn to doubled features on Jefferson's face or the word Liberty, as these make the coin instantly recognizable. A 1989 double die obverse nickel with dramatic doubling on the inscriptions in Jefferson's eye sold for an astonishing $120,800, setting a record for that year's error coins. Another example with a lighter doubling still managed to sell for $66,500, showing that even subtle variations can capture collectors' attention. Die break errors, commonly called cuds, are another favorite among enthusiasts. These occur when a portion of the die cracks or breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal on the finished coin. A 1989 nickel with a large cud near the rim and visible die crack running through Jefferson's head sold for $44,600, while another with a smaller cud by the date brought $38,200. Each cud is unique, giving every affected coin its own distinct fingerprint of minting history. Interestingly, some 1989 Jefferson nickel errors were found by complete accident. Stories from collectors and everyday people alike tell of rare finds in pocket change, coin rolls, or even bank deposits. One particularly inspiring story involves a young collector from Ohio who discovered a broad strike 1989 nickel while sorting coins for his father's collection. After grading and verification, that coin sold at auction for $52,000, an incredible return for something found in everyday circulation. Another man from California found a double die nickel at a flea market, purchased for just $1, and later sold it for over $60,000 after it was authenticated by PCGS. The allure of these error nickels lies not only in their value but in their mystery. Each one tells a story of a rare moment when precision faltered and chance took over. Collectors often refer to them as happy accidents, small windows into the unseen world of minting, where even the smallest mechanical misstep can create something entirely unique. The 1989 Jefferson nickel continues to be one of the more fascinating coins from the late 20th century, especially for those who appreciate the blend of history, craftsmanship, and serendipity. While most of these coins are worth just 5 cents, a select few carry the potential to change someone's life. From off-center strikes and broad strikes to missing layers and double dies, every known error from this year adds a new layer of intrigue to the collecting world. So, if you ever come across an old 1989 Jefferson nickel, don't just toss it aside or spend it without a glance. Take a moment to examine it carefully. Look for unusual shapes, misaligned designs, extra thickness in the letters, or even odd colors on the surface. You might just be holding a piece of American minting history, because sometimes a tiny imperfection in a 5-cent coin can make it worth anywhere between $45,550 and $120,800, proving that even small mistakes can hold incredible value for those who recognize their significance.